We welcome Merwan Mistry. His wife Zenobia is with us as well, and this is a rare and unique opportunity. Thank you, Merwan, for sharing once again.
Yes, thank you. Jai Baba. I have not prepared any topic to talk on today, but we'll start off with a saying from Baba. That's how I like to start off with. And then entertain any questions from you all, and I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability. And hopefully we will go from one topic to the other, cover a lot of subjects. If I have something pertinent to that in the experience with in my life with Baba, I will narrate that, or a story that I know of. And so we will pass our time. Approximately, how long is this going to last now? About an hour? Okay, so if you will time me about 15 minutes before, you let me know. All right, so I'll start off with, this is the pamphlet I received when I came here, and I like this very much. There are several sayings of Baba, messages, and this is the one I like. Rely on me. When everything goes wrong, the mind becomes helpless and has to rely on the heart. These are the moments when you resign to my will and rely solely on my help. When you leave all to me, I dare not neglect you, and you get relief from your predicament. I am the ocean of love and compassion. Meher Baba. Yes, Baba said that I dare not, care not for my lovers. That promise he has given us. So on our parts, we have to do our very best, fulfill all our responsibilities, and then leave all the results to him, good or bad. So this is what he expects for us, and then if we rely on him with that kind of a detachment from the results of our actions, then he takes care of us. And when we become his, we've come to the conclusion, we come to the realization that he is already ours. He has already accepted us, long time before we accepted him. And with that, folks, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Yes, Karina. Yes. We were at Adele's place this evening, shortly after we were at Jerry and Lynn McGuire's. We were visiting with Danny there. And Adele started talking about her inheritance, and she having offered it to Baba, and then how Baba makes a budget for inheritance. This for your travel, this for this, and so forth, so forth. So when she was talking about it, all of a sudden she started talking about, she was in India for a while, a couple of months she had spent in Bombay, and she had come to know Seganporia and Gidwani, who were running the Bombay Center at that time. And while she was talking about that, now Gidwani, I was reminded of the inheritance, and this is a story of Gidwani and Baba. Gidwani was a very devoted lover of Meher Baba. And he, along with Seganporia, started the Meher Baba Center in Bombay. Previously, the meetings were held in the homes of Baba lovers. And more people started to come. Actually, it was held in the home of Mr. Seganporia, Saurabhji Seganporia. And naturally, it would get more and more. One room could not accommodate all the lovers. And so they started looking for a larger place. And at that time, this Gidwani started coming, and he was a rich man, Gidwani. Amongst the Baba lovers, most Baba lovers were middle class people, working middle class people, but there were very few rich people. And some of them opened their wallets to the cause of Baba, and some would not. And now Gidwani was an industrialist. He owned a factory, he would do import businesses, and very successful in what he was doing. And he took to Baba, and then he, at his financial backing, they were able to get this center in Bombay, which is still currently about the Bombay Center there. With his financial help, that was done. It was his habit every day in the morning. He would get up early in the morning, around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, have his bath and sit in front of Baba's picture and meditate. And in that days, in India, you were not allowed to own foreign currency. You cannot have foreign currencies. You have to declare it to the government when you come in and exchange it for the rupees. And he had a cupboard full of foreign currency in his house. Because he was running this exchange, his business, he was exporting from Japan, importing from Japan and selling the cutlery. That's what he would do, the Kishko cutlery. His factory's name was Kishko. And he had a whole cupboard full of foreign currency. And all of a sudden, one morning, while he was sitting in front of Baba's picture during his meditation, there's a raid on his house from the income tax people. And everybody is sleeping. He's the only one awake. So they come into the house. So the Gidwani now is praying to Baba. And he prays to Baba for protection. These guys come and ransack his entire house looking for, they know that there is foreign currency here. And they're going to find it. And they went to the extent of searching every room, every nook and corner, cutting open mattresses to see if it was hidden in the mattresses, opening up the toilet bowls to see if anything is hidden in the, they put in the plastic bags and put in the toilet bowls. Trying to find, knocking on every corner of the walls to see if there was any hidden compartments or secrets. 3 to 4 hours they searched the house. Nothing. And the cupboard is sitting in between, right in front of them, in that room. That cupboard where there was the currency is sitting right there. There are 2 other cupboards next to it. They open the 2 cupboards besides it, but that cupboard which has the currency they don't touch. Gidwani is now becoming incredulous. He's saying, what is happening? When are they going to open it? He can see the cupboard. It is as if they can't see the cupboard being there. They're going past it, opening the other cupboards, taking out every little linen piece to see if it's hidden there. Nothing. So he becomes so incredulous, and he now realizes that they have become, it's as if it's invisible to their eyes, that cupboard, which he can see so plainly. And then afterwards, after several hours of searching, they abandoned that search. And he was the one to narrate this incident. That's how we come to know of this. Now, Gidwani at one time in Guru Prasad, Baba, see what happens. When you are not destined to give to Baba, you can't give even if you want to. Destined, it's not in the good fortune to give to Baba. You may give, but he may not accept. And here is the story I'm telling you, it has so many examples in this. He wanted to give but could not give. It was not in his destiny. Whereas people who are poor would give to Baba and he would accept from them. So don't think that when we give, that we are doing someone a favor, because that person has to first accept it to do you that favor. If he doesn't accept that gift, you're stuck with it. And when he accepts it, that's the favor. This is the story. And I'll divert a little bit and tell you another story of a poor person giving money to Baba. But that will come later on. So now Gidwani at one time, to give you an idea of what this relationship was with Gidwani and Baba, now they would come to Pune when Baba would give darshan, and Baba would allow them to come at certain times when there would be meetings of group workers from different centers. So they would be the representatives of the Bombay Center and go and visit with Baba. At one time, this is in Guru Prasad, Baba just tells Gidwani, my lovers from Andhra are calling me to come and give darshan there. But they are poor people. So will you be able to pay for the trip, for this Andhra trip? He says, Baba, how much money would you require? So he said, well, I'm planning on taking about 30 people or so with me. And maybe I and one other person can travel in first class and the others can come in third class. I'm getting old now, so a little First, he says, of course, I can pay for all of them in first class. Like that, he's offering Baba. He says, tell me how much money you think you would require. And Baba asks Pendu over, so they come to a figure. He says, Baba, about 40,000 rupees. That's an awful lot of money in that time. A family could maintain itself with 1,000 rupees. And that was 40,000 rupees now. So says, Baba looks at Gidwani and says, you think you'll be able to come up with 40,000? So Gidwani says, Baba, of course, just give me a couple of hours and I'll have the money for you. So he goes, after the Baba goes for his lunchtime, this is during lunchtime, this is before lunchtime, he goes and makes a couple of phone calls to Bombay where his business was. And when he comes back in the afternoon, he tells Baba, I'll have the money for you tomorrow morning. So when he showed that inclination that he was ready to part with his money, Baba said, well, I've changed my mind. Keep your money for now. When I need it, I'll ask for it. So Baba didn't accept that. He was willing, but he was willing to part with that money and give it to Baba's cause. Now see what happens. Several years later, Gidwani dies. This is before Baba drops the body. And Gidwani left Baba in his will 15,000 rupees. 15. So when the will was set, the estate was settled, now his family would come to Baba only for one reason, because that would for the respect of their father. They didn't love Baba. They would come for his darshan, but they didn't care or love Baba. And after Gidwani died, they came to Baba for the last time. And what are they coming to Baba for? To plead for time. They don't have 15,000 rupees. Now this is a millionaire man, with a factory and cupboard full of currencies, to give you an idea of how much money he had. And here they're saying they don't have 15,000 rupees. Gidwani could bring up 40,000 rupees in a couple of hours. But here now they're saying, oh, we are short of money, this, that, the other. Baba, give us some time. So Baba says, how long do you need? He says, about at least 3 or 4 months we need to come up with this money. Baba says, all right. Take a year, Baba says. Baba gives them a year. I'll give you 1 year. 1 year passes. No word. Just before 1 year passes, then I think Yeresh asked Baba once, Baba, the year that you had given Gidwani for his sons to come up with the money that he left you, shall we remind them? So Baba says, no. Then again a little while later, Yeresh again reminds Baba, what about this? At that time it was so hard on the Manli, there was such in financial, there would be no money for them. Baba would cut the meals, he would cut now instead of this we'll have tea without milk, we'll have tea without sugar, dal and rice, but now only once a day. Instead of 2 vegetables, only 1 vegetable. Like that, cutting, and it came to such hard times. At the same time, they would call Adi. Adi would come and complain to Baba. Adi would be handling the money. He says, Baba, what's happening? And what would happen is, when these cuts are going on, all of a sudden Baba would say, send that family 500 rupees, send this person 300 rupees, like this. He would be telling Adi to do that. So Adi would start fighting with Baba. He says, Baba, where will I get this money? You are just telling me to send this money, that money, like this. Where am I going to get it? And then, when everybody would leave, Baba would signal to Adi to stay behind. And then he says, do exactly what I have told you. Send the money. And all this none of us knew until later on Adi would tell us that. So here it is, the Manli is in dire straits. They can't make do with the finances. Here this is just before Baba drops the body. 68, 67, 68, like that. Depends on the time he dropped his body. We can pick up that, I think it is in the Lord Mayor, I think it is there, when he died. It was 2 or 3 years before Baba dropped the body. Anyway, so now, he gets a little more, they get more desperate. At the same time, one time Baba is depriving and putting severe austerities on them. 1 bar of soap lasts you a whole month. That's for your washing, bathing, you're washing your own clothes. 1 razor blade, the blade was the one that had 2 sides. Yeah. And had to last a whole month. And then you have to return it back to Kaka. And then he would take that stone that would sharpen them. Yeah, it would turn like this and and then he would give it back to you. And you dare not go back and ask him for more. So like that, they had such hard times. You see, they lived like fakirs, but they were kings. Anyway, so what happened was that again Erech reminds Baba, now Baba says, don't think about it, Baba tells him. It seems like they are not going to return the money, as he's saying. They're just playing for time, Baba. These people are multi-millionaires, and you think you gave them, they asked for 3 months, you gave them 1 year, and now it's past 1 year, it's now over 2 years. And so Baba says, don't think about it. I'm going to collect it the next time I come. He tells Erech, I'm going to collect it the next time I come with interest, he tells him. So this is what Baba told Erech. I'm going to collect it the next time I come and with interest. Now imagine interest on 15,000 rupees for 700 years. So it was not in Gidwani's destiny to give Baba any money. Although he was willing to part with it, even in his will, his children will not fulfill their father's wishes. Now this is the rich man. Now I'll tell you the story of another lady. There were many families that we never knew Baba supported until Baba dropped the body. Then what would happen is, Baba would tell certain people that who could spare the money, he would say, every month you go and give that family 20 rupees or 30 rupees, something like that. That would augment their meager income. And this lady, you know this lady Adele. Do you know of Carmen Masi? Carmen Masi? Do you remember her?
Yes.
Or have,
I
huh?
was thinking of, actually at the moment, I was thinking of the situation with Dr.
Doctor?
That was another situation
With Dr. Dante.
where he had left everything for Baba, but
It never went to Baba. So not destiny. Now this Carmen Masi, a little background will set the stage, you see. Just instead of rather just telling the story, the background will give you an idea of who Carmen Masi was and why it came to this stage. Now Carmen, she was with Baba from the very early days, 1930s. You know, she was in the ashram there, and very sweet lady, short, stout, rosy pink cheeks, and loved Baba very dearly. She was a widower. And she had 3 sons. And none of them made anything much of themselves. They could hardly keep a job. And they would have a job now, another month, no job. So very erratic, little monies would come in, and from that she would maintain the house. She lived in 1 room. And another small room next to it, which was the kitchen, and a small little space where they had, it was like a bathroom. Where she lived, at times when Baba would visit Bombay, he would come there and walk into her house and says, I'm hungry, give me food. And she would then go and what to offer Baba. She has just the old stale food is there from yesterday, the dal and rice or whatever they had. So Baba says, she would say, Baba, I'll make you some food. Says, no, just give me what you have. And she would feel so ashamed to give him that stale food, but Baba would eat it with gusto. She would say that he would take it in his plate and eat it and relish it. So just imagine Baba were coming into someone's house like this, treating it like it's his own house. Like, give me food, like that. He would walk in unannounced, and this was not just once and twice, he would do it several times like that to Carmen Masi. Yes. This was the same lady once Baba said about that, in my next advent will become my father, Carmen Masi. Now, Carmen Masi Baba would give her a stipend of 20 rupees a month. If the 20 rupees a month. Yeah, he would tell one of his lovers in Bombay, every month you have to go and give this person 20 rupees a month, and so 30 rupees. And so some people he would support like that, you see, at that time. Not much, barely, you can barely get a meal from that. And from that little meal she had 3 other sons too. From that 20 rupees plus whatever money that the sons made from the work, erratic work that they did, she would save money. And then when she came to Baba, whenever Baba would, from Bombay, they would go to Pune and meet with Baba, she would give Baba 5 rupees or 7 rupees or sometimes 10 rupees from that whole year that she managed to save from that. Baba would take it. That lady, when she would give Baba 5, 7 rupees, Baba would take it. So you see, she gave whatever she had. He couldn't even give a fraction of what he had. Yeah. So, not in the destiny of that person. I said, not in the destiny of the person to give. Well, as long as we live in this world, we have to carry on our responsibilities, earn our living. So money is always going to be there. The factor of money, work and money is always going to be there. How crazily we run after it, that's the question. We do. Some people we aim to be successes in life. We aim to but once you reach your target, you want something more and more and more, and there is never satisfaction there. Instead of the funny thing is, loving God more and more, we love the success, the money, the power that comes with it more and more and more, and it never ends, because regardless of how rich you are, how famous you are, you will still be unhappy. Because why? Because you want more, even more than that. 10 generations after you will never work a day in their lives, that kind of money you have, and yet you are unhappy. Why is that so? Because the contentment is never there. Whereas a person who can barely make it in life but is happy with what he has is truly a king, because he's contented. So that is what inspiring. It doesn't mean that if you have money, don't enjoy it. That's not what Baba means. If it has come to you, enjoy it. There's nothing wrong in that. But if it's taken away from you, that's the secret. That's the whole secret. Yeah. Just be just as happy. Baba gave it to me and I enjoyed it. And he took it away from me and now I'm just as happy. That is the real contentment. And there's another very interesting story I can tell you about this contentment. So that is the whole purpose. You don't go kill yourself making more and more. Because if you do, eventually you will attain success and make that more, but our lives are ruined in it. Families is lost, fights with families, so much problems happen. We think that we always envy the rich people and think, no, they have so many problems that you can't imagine. Yeah. You won't imagine, you wouldn't want to be in their shoes, but we always envy them. You say, oh, they have this and they have that, but no. They want more and more. And this is the story of the perfect master Ibn Arabi of Syria, Damascus. He was have you heard of Ibn Arabi? Ibn Arabi. Yeah, huh? Yeah, he was a perfect master, Ibn Arabi. He came from Murcia in Spain, and eventually his seat was in Murcia, Spain, yeah. He was, and his seat was in Damascus, Syria. That's where he dropped his body. So, Ibn Arabi he had many disciples, and one of his disciples had settled down he was told to settle down in some place. It was some place, I think, in Africa. Anyway, now this master was like the Raja Yoga master. He was like Narayan Maharaj. He would dress in this lovely clothes and wear this jewelry and all of these like that. Ibn Arabi was a Raja Yoga master. He had big, huge estates and servants and orchards and all of these things, and lived a very regal life, like a king. He was a king. Not just materially, but spiritually too. He was, as I said, he was a perfect master. Now, one of his disciples, one day, after many years had passed by, he found that he had not made any spiritual progress. So he says, one day, one of his people who were with him was going to Damascus. So he tells him, when you go there, can you go and pay my respects to my master? And I have a message for him. He says, could you please tell him that all these years I've been doing exactly what he has told me to do, but yet I find myself having had made no progress. So tell me what I should do now. Now this poor man, this disciple of Ibn Arabi, lived near the seashore, and he used to fish for he would collect the fish from the sea, go fishing, and then give all the fishes away to everybody, the poor people there, and just save one head of one fish for himself. Just the head part of it, put in a bowl, make it into like a soup, and then eat that as his meal. And he would do that for every single day. He would be doing that, giving away his whole catch to the poor people, and just saving himself that one head of a fish. And that's how he sustained himself. So now when this man, this merchant, comes to Damascus, and now he does his whatever trading he has to do, and now he has to, before he leaves, he says, I'll go and meet this Sheikh Ibn Arabi and give him the message from my master or his friend, whoever it was. So now as he's going, he says, oh, he lives in so-and-so place, and it's there you'll find him. So where they go there, he says, beautiful orchards he's seeing on the road, and he asks people, what is this? Also, this is the orchards of the Sheikh. He's wondering what kind of a master could own so much property and so many orchards and all of this. And he's going for miles and miles, and still the orchards are not ending. And then finally he goes up near that place, and this is all these beautiful buildings are there, and then he says, who does this all belong to? He says, oh, this is all the property of the Sheikh. He says, oh, he is a man of money. He has so much property, houses. So where can I find his house? He says, oh, this is not his house. This is people who serve him. They live here. His house is a big palace there up on the hill, on that huge, you go up the hill. So when he goes there, he's awestruck. A huge, gigantic palace is there and on the hill. And when he goes there, he says, oh, the Sheikh is not here right now. When he goes there, finally asking for him. He's not there. But you can wait for him. He's due to come in another hour or two. You can refresh yourself and be here when he comes. When the Sheikh comes, he comes with a whole retinue, band and everything. The retinue comes. He alights from his palanquin. The people are carrying him. And he's all bedecked in jewels and in these beautiful clothes and robes. So eventually when he goes in the palace, then he says, there was a guest come to see him. So he says, okay, bring him. Says, entertain him, give him refreshments and all of this. So all these people are coming and giving him refreshments and all these beautiful bowls and the porcelain bowls and this, and the jewelry is all there, all over the palace. He's wondering, what kind of a master can he be? So then when he comes to the master in his presence, he says, why have you come? He says, I have come to give you a message from my master, whom I follow. He's so and so. He says, he's your disciple. And this is the message he gave. He says, he has been following you for 40 years, and he thinks that he has not made any progress. So he wants instructions from you what he should do about this. And so when he says that, Ibn Arabi tells him, tell your master that the reason he has not made any progress is he's attached to the head of a fish. All this time he has been attached to the head of a fish. He has not let go of that attachment yet. So this man is totally dumbfounded. He says, how in the world can he utter these words? He says, in the lap of luxury he is living. Just the coffee and the pastries that were served to me was unbelievably rich, and all of these things that were served to me just as a person who visits his palace. And he's begrudging my master the head of a fish. So he goes back. He takes the leave and goes back to where he came from. And then his master says, "Did you get any message back from Ibn Arabi, my master?" So he feels ashamed to tell him that, what he was just told. He was told. He feels very awkward telling him that. He says, "Yes, I met him and he was this. But didn't he give you any answer back to my question?" He says, "Yes, but I don't think it is any pertinent. It has no pertinence. Actually, I didn't find him very..." He says, "No, but tell me exactly what he told you." So then he tells him this. When he tells him that, he says, "Yes, this is true. My whole day, from morning till evening, although I'm fishing and doing all of these things, coming and giving everything away, I'm still waiting for that little piece of fish." So it's the attachment. Although he was attached to a very simple thing, but that still was the attachment was there. And yet the master, Ibn Arabi, with all of these things that he had no attachment to them. So that's the attachment. It's the same thing with contentment. You can be content with little and be very happy. So that is the whole thing of contentment. Yes, right. Yes. No, it's of course there are many instances like that, but it's nothing that I could like a miraculous thing or something like that. Like people see Baba or something. Nothing. I've not seen him, but I've felt his presence. I've felt his help. Whenever I start doing something, I take his name and do it. That doesn't mean I don't get in trouble. Every now and then I run into trouble, but when I do, again I take his name. And somehow or the other, he sees me through. But it doesn't mean that he comes there and helps me out, or I see him there. Nothing like that. But he never fails us. He never fails to answer the call. These are Baba's words. One who sincerely calls out to God never fails to be heard and to receive his help. That is also his promise to us. If we call out to him, his help is there. Always. Now it may not work out the way we want it to, but his help is there. So always we have to remember that. And invariably that happens. One day, I was sitting in front of Baba in Guru Prasad, and every now and then Baba would ask me, "Do you play cricket?" I said, "Do you play cricket?" Now I had told Baba many times before that I play cricket. He knew. But yet he would ask me, "Do you play cricket?" This would be a sign for cricket, you see. So, "Do you play?" "Yeah, cricket." The cricket bat, you hit. So his signs were so eloquent, this would mean cricket. So he said, "Do you play cricket?" I said, "Yes, Baba." And that would be the end of it. Baba would say, "Okay," like that. But this time, he said, "Do you play cricket?" And then he said, "Do you take my name? Do you take my name? Do you take my name?" See how expressive, my name. Do you utter my name when you bat? And this is how it would happen. This was how it would happen. Whenever I would go to bat, I would take his name. All right, and then I would forget. If I was if I had a hot hand and I started hitting the ball all over the field, I would forget about Baba. But then again, after a little while, that thought would come. Oh, I've not taken his name. I start taking his name, and soon after that, I would get out. So actually, I would fear to take his name now. Because whenever I would forget to take his name, I would get a nice hot hand, and I would be hitting everywhere. But the moment I would remember to take his name, a short time after that, 5-10 minutes after that, I'm out. So I would get out. as a batsman, I would get out. So then it became a question of whether I should check myself if I remembered him to take his name or not. But I always did. I took my name, and then I would know that now I'm gone. I'm not going to be here too long. But yeah, 1 second. This story is not ended yet. It'll just end in the next 1 minute. So then what happened is when Baba asked me that, he says, "But do you take my name?" I said, "Yes, Baba, I do. But every time I remember to take your name, I get out soon after." So Baba now looks at me. It was such a look of an innocent child, how could that be like that kind of a look? That you take my name and still you get out like that type of a look. And then I thought Baba would tell me, "But you should still keep taking my name." That's what I expected Baba to tell me. But no, Baba said nothing. That beautiful look on his face, that expression, that surprise, how could that be like that? Yeah. But he never tells me, "Keep taking it." You see? And I never realized it at that time. Afterwards, much later, I said, Baba never did say to me, although I expected him to tell me to keep taking it, he never did say that. What does it mean? That we should do it, regardless of getting out or not out.
Say my name, I will do it.
Right. Just think about it. That's right. If we took Baba's name and we were to get success and not failure, we were to get rich and not poor, our desires would be fulfilled and not rather than not fulfilled, then the entire world will come to him. And they would be loving him for what? For not who he is, but for being the mighty Santa Claus. He has come to extract us from that. Not, I am the one to take, I am not the one to give. Baba says, I am the one to... At the same time, he is our sustainer and nourisher and protector. He will provide for us, but he will not give us what we want. He will give us our needs, he will satisfy. But our wants, some of them he satisfies, some he will not. A young child, when he goes to his parents and asks for something, the parent will give it to that child, most of the times. But not every time, because then that's a bad habit. And sometimes the child will ask for something which he can hurt himself with. At that time, the parent will never give it to that child. If a young child asks for a razor blade or a knife, that parent will never give that. The child can hurt himself. So also he does the same thing. If it's not going to benefit, if little things he will give, especially to catch you. That's the lure, you see. In the beginning, to catch the lover, he uses these things. He'll satisfy that. But once he has captured you, then no more. He was. I just want
to follow up. It's like also that people make a pilgrimage to the Samadhi. Some people said, when I went there and came back home, all hell broke loose in my life. So I'm not going back. I've heard that from some people.
Hell broke loose.
In other words, when they bow their head down on Baba Samadhi, something stirred up in them. And when they came back, the business failed,
yeah.
did his job or something.
Yeah.
And then they said, so I mean, you probably have had
Francis Brabazon says it so beautifully. This is the 4 lines I said in that second part of the talk that at the Savas. That in dust I sing. And I don't think, I'm going to butcher it if I say it from memory, but it was the paraphrase here. It's in dust I sing on page 33. And it says there, he says that, what does he say? To those who are not ready, he fulfills the desire. So, to those who obey him, he gives a consuming fire. The third line is, from ruin we have evolved, From ruin we have evolved to manhood to starhood. From ruin He will take us to godhood if we trust. So it is by our ruination that He takes us to godhood, not by our fulfilling the desires. So to say that we love Him, that is, be prepared. We are treading on the path of ruin and disaster. Yeah, that path is not the path of fulfilling our desires. So we have to, and so therefore, when we sit here and we look back, you have been with Baba for 30 years, 20 years, whatever number of years, and yet you have nothing to show for. That means you love Him for who He says He is. That great fortune you have. If today you say, oh, I followed Baba, but you have nothing to show for it materially, wonderful. If you show ruination, that's even more wonderful. That you became, like you said, yeah. But that's the path.
When has Baba ever taken anything away from us?
There you go.
What's the question?
No question. I said, it was rhetorical. When has Baba ever taken anything away from us that we were keeping?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And that is so true. Very nicely put.
Well, Merwan, you probably, the Sahaba spoke of this, but you were born into a Baba family. At what point did he actually snare you?
Snare you?
snare you.
Snare you. Catch you.
Besides
Yeah.
through your parents.
Yeah. Well, it's not much of a story there. Like if you're born in a family, it's that you grow up with that in your house. The first words you learn as a child is Baba. Pictures of Baba all over the house. Who is Baba? Baba is God. As a child which has no questions, not an inquiring mind, Baba is God. So you accept that spontaneously. The child has no concept of God. Actually, when we become adults and start to question, we have no concept of God also. Actually, we have more problems then. Why? Because the mind is questioning now. Oh yeah, but that's because he says so. But how do you know that? Or how does he know that? These kind of questions come, you see. So there's a questioning mind as it grows up. They're not the pureness or the innocence of a accepting child. But many a times you find that it's much easier for us as those who have accepted Baba for who he says he is, and for not because he's going to fulfill our desires. He says, you want to have these things fulfilled? Go to these other people who do that. I will not give you all of these things. So that it requires that faith, the belief. First is the belief, you have to believe. You have to be prepared to believe who he says he is. And Baba makes no small claim. Baba says, people are ready to believe him. Oh, he's a holy man, he's a highly spiritual man, he's maybe he's like but even he's saying he's God in human form. Even the prophets don't say that. Prophet Zoroaster never said that. How dare he can call himself such things? How dare he can make these kind of statements? What had happened is by the time I was born, my family had gotten away from it. When the Dadachanji family came to Baba, they were still performing those ceremonies and things like that because they knew no better. They had no concept of God taking human form. That concept was totally alien. God means what? Aura Mazda. But who is Aura Mazda? It's an abstract thing. Abstract being God, the infinite God. But what is that? We have no concept of infinite God. God is there, infinite God, God Almighty. But how do you describe it? How do you relate with such an Almighty God? So when he takes human form, that human form we can relate with. And now that infinite God has attributes. As the personification of God in human form, he has these infinite attributes. And we can relate with that. And that is the beauty of it. You can be able to relate, become devoted, worship that form, and be surrender to that master. You can't surrender to an Almighty God. How can you surrender? How can you obey? To obey, you need a master. So these are the things the relationship of a master, of a lover and a master. All these things we had no concept of. We means the Dadachandji family before. Like every other family who, like for example, they don't believe, the Muslims don't believe in a God in human form. They believe in Allah. And Prophet Muhammad was just his messenger. Same thing with the Christians. They believe in God Almighty, and Jesus was the Son of God, but not God himself, God in human form. And same thing with all the other previous avatars, because the mind was not ready to accept that. The consciousness level of the humans was not that high to be able to accept these things. Nowadays, our consciousness has risen so much that we can accept that, and that's why Baba reveals it to us openly. God must come, yes. Yeah. And so, the beauty is that we have this relationship, and of how one person can accept and the other person cannot accept. What is that? What's the difference between one person who accepts Baba as God in human form and the next person who cannot? It is not an accident, and it is not by, it is lifetimes of prior preparations. It is not an accidental thing. That readiness, the preparation is there. The soil has been tilled for that seed to be able to germinate. And that same seed falls on the concrete floor, is, despite of any amount of sunlight and rain, it's not going to germinate. And that toiling is our responsibility. We have to toil, make that effort. When we say toil, our effort has been there. We take one step to him, he takes 10 towards us. And that lifetimes of the tilling has been there for this to manifest now. And once we accept Baba for who he says he is, the link is there. For all our future lifetimes to come, in the next advent, and the advents after that, as long as the link is there, we will continue to be his lovers. And he will be our master. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But
So I went on my own about Baba. My parents never accepted.
Regardless of what happens, once the link is there, whether you are born in a Baba family or not born in a Baba family, whether you will, in your next advent, you don't, you love Jesus again, suppose. What happens? That link is always there. It does not matter which form of the avatar you are worshipping, but it is always better of the current avatar. And why is that so? It's like Aloba. You know Aloba? The way he expressed it, I like that. He said, it's the same currency. It's the same, suppose 100 rupee note, which is 1,000 years old, and 100 rupee note, which is this. This is the current currency of exchange. You use that for exchange, for trading. That is a historical piece of, it has the same value, but this is, Aloba said, this is the current one. So we have to, current currency. It's the current currency. Yeah, like that.
Bobby used a story about Quaker Oats. Do you remember that story?
Yes, that's, beautiful story. Yes. That analogy is even better. Have you heard that one?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the most apt analogy. Which mother will give the child the Quaker Oats which has the expiry date on it? It will always go for the one which is the freshest. They are both Quaker Oats. Identical, came from the same field, same everything. But she gives the, why? Same. I think that's the better answer. Very good. Thank you.
Merwan,
Yes.
can you tell us a story about the taxi driver that helped the doctor get to save the boy's life? You told us that years.
Well, you asked that question before. This could fit in there. This is the incident happened while I was in my residency in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, and that hospital was at St. Michael's. It had several hospitals that I would rotate through. One of the hospitals at the time when this happened, I was at St. Michael's Hospital in Newark, New Jersey. And one day, actually I was in the hospital, in another hospital, I rotated in that hospital, and then time had passed by, and then I went to another hospital, and in the evening I'm just sitting down to grab a quick bite to eat, because you never know, you're on call and the beeper goes off and you have to go. So just as I'm sitting down to eat, the beeper goes off. And I'm cussing at myself. I said, again this has happened, and so I'm going to the phone there to receive the message, and instead of, usually it's an in-house message. This is an outside call, and the operator connects me, and then she is telling me that there is this Dr. Gabriel. I've never heard that name before. And he starts talking to me. He says, "Oh, Dr. Mistry, I'm glad I finally got you." And then he starts telling me what happened. This had happened several days ago. He says, I was called to St. Michael's for an emergency for a child, and I was rushing on to the hospital on the Garden State Parkway, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, my car just stalled, and I went on the side of the road, and I was waiting for help. And all of a sudden, I find that a short while later, a police state trooper car comes up behind him, and then inquires what happened. And he says, "My car is broken down, and I have an emergency. So I have to go to St. Michael's Hospital." So the state trooper puts him in his car and drives him down the Garden State Parkway to the hospital. So I'm listening. I said, "What the hell? What is he telling me all of these things? He's going down this and this." I said, "But Dr. Gabriel," he says, "what's that got to do?" I said, "Just please listen, he's telling me to be patient, just listen." I said, "All right. I didn't mean to be rude, but my food is getting cold and they're going to shut down the cafeteria, you know." Anyway, so then he says to me that as he's driving down the Garden State Parkway, he says, as I was driving down, we were talking. He says, "My cousin," he said, "the St. Michael's Hospital. Oh, that's where my cousin works. My cousin works at St. Michael's Hospital." So the state trooper is then told him that. So he said, "Yeah, what is his name?" So Dr. Gabriel is asking him. Says, "His name is Dr. Mistry." "Yes, Dr. Mistry is his name." So he says, "What?" "Oh, yes, that name. I remember that name. I had heard it being paged on the overhead system. And I said to myself, first I thought it was a code. You know, they have the Dr. So-and-so, Dr. Blue or Dr. Strong, when they want someone to go and help. So I thought there was a code name. And then I realized it was a doctor. So I said, "Yeah, what a strange name, Dr. Mistry." So I remember that name, yeah. So he's your cousin. Oh, okay. And then they started talking like this. I said, "But what had happened was," I said, "But Dr. Gabriel, what has that got to do with me?" He said, "Well, he mentioned that you are a cousin of his, and I couldn't get his name, and that's why I'm trying to call you to thank you, because he took me to the hospital in time. I was able to go there in time and take care of the child, and everything came out nicely. And since I forgot to take down his name, I'm calling you to thank him. If you could just let him know that." I said, "You're mistaken, doctor. I don't have a cousin who is a state trooper." And he says, "No." I said, there was no mistake about that. Now he's telling me that there is no mistake about it, that he mentioned my name and that he was his cousin. At that time, a sudden feeling came over me, you know, that I felt that what he was saying was not, the way he was talking to me, it was a relief that came into him after he told me this, he was narrating to me. And at the same time, I'm getting this feeling inside of me telling me that, yes, this is what he's saying is true. And then, so then now I am now encouraged to ask him more questions. All this time I said, when is he going to shut up and end the call, you know? I said, "You mean he was talking to you?" He said, "Yes." "How do you think he was communicating with me?" And now he's seeing more, what a stupid question for me to ask, you know, he's talking to you. And then I said, how did he look like? Huh? He looked like a regular guy, regular Italian guy, Italian looking guy. I said, oh, Italian looking guy. And then I said, well, what was his name? He says, doctor, I just told you that I did not get his name and that's why I am calling you. If I got his name, why would I call you? I would have called the state police barracks and told them that. So I said, oh, I'm sorry. Now I felt foolish asking that again. So I said, what did you talk about? He said, oh, well, without the slightest hesitation, he looked at my car, he was driving a Pontiac car. He was driving a Pontiac. I said, what kind of car was he driving? So I tried to probe to see whether he knew anything else. I said, what kind of car was he driving? He said, Pontiac. Right away he said, Pontiac. I said, it had a regular state police insignia and everything on it? He said, of course. What do you mean regular state police insignia? I just told you it was a state police car. So now I'm asking him these little questions and he's answering right without the slightest hesitation. It was a Pontiac, and then he said they started talking about cars, and he said that he liked Chryslers better than the Pontiac. I said, he told you that? He said, yes, of course he mentioned that. He said he liked Chryslers better. Yeah. And all this is happening. And then he gets to his hospital and then they leave. And he forgets to thank him. So that kept bugging him, that doctor. So now in my heart I know who he's referring to. Oh, there's one more question I asked him. I asked him only one direct question. I said, did he have a mustache? Yeah. Did he have? Yeah. I said, how did he look like? He said, oh, a regular guy, like an Italian. No, he didn't say that. He said, just like a regular Italian. And the only direct question, I said, did he have a mustache? He said, oh yes, a big bushy one. He said, so then, after this was over with, I said, thank you, Dr. Gabriela. I will definitely, if I find my cousin, I will thank him for you. But I'm telling you, I have many cousins, but none of them is a state trooper, New Jersey state trooper. And then there was a relief in his voice, and then the conversation ended, and we ended the conversation. Now listen. Yeah. Somehow this story takes a long time to tell. That's why I do. Yeah. And then what happens? Although I know in my heart, I go and tell Zenobia, my wife, the story, and she also feels the same way as I feel. But see how the mind works. You know that who it was. It was Baba. He's telling me he's my cousin. Okay, who else could it be? And I felt that. There was a feeling within me. I can't describe that feeling, but I don't think I've had that feeling before. That kind of a feeling. And so, just before I had finished my residency and was leaving Newark, I said, I got to find out whether the appearance of that person. So I took the Beloved book, but had a lot of Baba pictures. Oh, but before that, see what happens. Then a few days later, I go to, he also mentioned the barracks of that. I said, what barracks was he from? Immediately said, Troop B. It was because on the side of the car they write Troop B, New Jersey State Police, like that. So immediately came out with that. He was from Troop B barracks. So I had to find out for myself. So still my mind is doubting. So a few days later, I drive down to Bloomfield, New Jersey State Police Bloomfield barracks. And the moment I enter the parking lot of that barracks, what do I see? It's a whole line of Pontiac, state police Pontiac cars are there. All of them. They usually buy them by the lots, you see, so they're all Pontiacs. So at least I confirm that it's a Pontiac. I did not need to do all this, but I did it to confirm that. Now I have one more thing to confirm. I take the Beloved book and I go to this Dr. Gabriel. I look up in the hospital directory where he is to get his address, and then I go to his office. I call him. I said, Dr. Gabriel, this is Dr. Mistry. You remember me? He says, yes, of course. I remember you. He said, I'd like to see you. I'd like to show you a book. Could you identify something from that book for me? He says, all right, why don't you come on this time? So I went then. And I take the beloved book with me, and I enter his office, and his office is all decorated. Not like a regular doctor's office, all fancy decorations and everything. Very successful practice must be. And for a pediatrician, I'm wondering why a pediatrician has like this. The kids make a mess all the time. Fancy vases, fancy fixtures and everything. So I go in and I show him the beloved book. I said, Dr. Gabriel, my cousin you described as a regular Italian guy. Could you point him out in any of these pictures here? So I'm showing him this picture. He glances at it. No. I show him that picture. No. Then I think maybe the one that with Baba standing on that boat, that with his hand there, with the white suit there. So maybe he'll recognize that one he looks at it and says, no. So now I'm very disappointed and I come back. He didn't identify Baba from any of those pictures. But then later on this strikes me. Why? When I knew within myself at that time that who he was, why did I keep asking for more proof? That was not right on my part. And why this happened? I have no idea why this happened. The only thing this happened was at that time, my wife had gone to India with my, and I was not going to be going. So I was a little low in spirits. So that was the only time, the relationship I can find in that time that this could have happened. He wants to cheer me up or something like that. But when I knew within myself, why did I have to keep asking for more proof? That was not right on my part. When I knew, why should I have to have asked for more confirmation? It would not behoove the disciple to keep testing the master. That's the master's role. The master continuously tests the disciples. That's the burning of the metal, making it true. That's not the role of the disciple. One time he will allow that. He will permit that. He gives that conviction. How does that conviction come? Through some experience, through some inner conviction that he gives. Conviction, after all, is a gift of the master. Faith, on the other hand, faith comes from our belief. Obviously, we believe in something that we don't know. If you know something, there is no question of belief. So belief is like the saying from St. Augustine, the belief. It's a very beautiful saying. Faith is to believe in that which we do not know, and the reward of faith is to see what you have believed. So, yeah, so we believe in that which we do not know, but then the reward of that faith is to see what we have believed. And that conviction is the gift of the master. That's why we are convinced and we accept Baba for who he says he is. Whereas someone else cannot do that. Faith can always waver, but conviction does not. Conviction is his gift to us. Yeah, it's like a topic of conversation. It starts off, it's like you begin mystery doctor. It's a mystery. Is that really your name? I said, yeah, but it's spelled differently. You're a newcomer or someone like that to Baba and you said that, and that thing happened, and now you're convinced that it's Baba. Now it would not behoove you to keep doing that to test him. Yeah, if you are convinced once, then it does not behoove us as his lovers, as his followers, to keep testing the master. That's his role. Yeah, he tests us. In our sufferings and in these things he tests us, not in the other. I think his name was Krishna Mast or something. Yeah. See, then you can't tell the lover and the beloved apart. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, in the final burning. So no, this is not a story told by Baba. This is in. I think in one of the books from Ibn Arabi's, or one of the, from my readings.
Like thousands of years or hundreds of years?
Ibn Arabi, the master, he was, I think he was in the 11th century, so, 11th century, yeah, Ibn Arabi. Lots of books on spiritual themes he has written. Very intellectually oriented discourses and things like that. Yeah.
I wonder if the guy ever gave up the attachment.
No, but it's just the example also that guy is shocked that this living in such opulence, he could not fathom that how could he ever make a statement like that, denying a little fish head to the other one, but whereas the one didn't have the attachment. Yeah. This in Narayan Maharaj, the perfect master Narayan Maharaj. He was a Raja. They have different personalities. All of these masters, these five masters, have different personalities. One represents, so to speak, the materialism of the world, the wealth of the world, and that's called a Raja Yoga master.
Raja Yoga?
Yeah, Raja, the kingly master. And since they represent that, they have this outward manifestation of it as well. The clothes they wear, the food they eat, the environment that they live in, but they have no attachment to it. One day a Parsi man had gone to Narayan Maharaj, and he was seeing that all these diamond rings and all jewelry, is bedecked with jewelry, and his crown, and he's sitting on his silver throne, Maharaj. And the thought came into him that how can this person be ever spiritual with all this kind of material things? So at once Maharaj tells him, before he can even ask that question, he says, but this is as nothing to me. He tells him, all this is as nothing to me. And don't aspire after them. Don't aspire after these things. Yeah. But they never, for example, Sai Baba, when Sai Baba was there, he lived like a fakir. But from morning till evening, people would come and give him money. No, he would demand from you. If you came to him, he would demand, give me your money. And then you would take it out from your wallet here and give him some money. But he says, give me more. He would not leave you with the train fare to go back. He would demand that out of you. And that by that same evening, it would all be gone. He would give it away. He would not have anything. He had this one little torn kurta that he wore and a little thing on his head. The way he lived, he was a fakir. Okay. Funnily enough, this was a question asked from one of the kids in that little kid workshop that we have there. Yeah. And who was it? I think it was that the guitarist's daughter. What was his name? Mia. Yeah. She asked me that. Yeah. Well, I'd on my own never go and talk about Baba to a stranger. My feeling is that if he is interested in Baba, he has to initiate. But Baba also told us to go and spread his name and message to everybody. Yeah. That does not mean you stand up on the rooftops and shout off his name out to the world. You can do that, of course you can do that. That's one way. Proselytizing is another way. But that's not the way I like. And I don't think Baba encouraged us to do that either. But at the same time, looking in his lifetime, there were so many world fairs had in New York, in Bombay, the occasions to spread his name and message. Any such occasion will be there. But what about individually for us? If anybody suppose I have a picture of Baba, or a button like you just said, or a necklace that you're wearing, and someone asks you, who is he? He must at least have the curiosity or the interest to ask. Never give water to a person who is not thirsty. He'll never appreciate it. When he's thirsty and you give him water, he'll be thankful. Same way with Baba. You see, the interest has to be there, the curiosity has to be there, and then you tell him. And how to answer him, that also Baba told us how to do it. If anybody asks you, who am I? What do you say? You can say that was one of the answers Baba gave. Or the other one is, you can say, Baba said to us, that if you cannot bring yourself to say that he is God, if you cannot bring yourself to say that Baba is God, say this. Baba says that he is God in human form. So then if they ask you, how do you know? We don't know. We accept what he says. I accept, I believe. You are a Christian, you believe in Jesus. Just the same way you believe in Jesus, same way I believe in Meher Baba as my master. And for who he says he is, God in human form. So say it that way. And then if they're more interested, tell them more. Yeah.
I mean, if they come up with a question, so at least the desire to know is there.
At least that interest is there. The curiosity is there. Why tell about someone who is not interested? They will ignore you. They'll make fun of you.
So they might see the picture.
Baba said the same thing. Talk about me to others. If they will listen. If they will listen. If they're going to ignore you, they're going to humiliate you, just don't go and keep wasting your voice over them. Yes. So with this we end. Jai Baba.